Hello everyone, my name is Ethan, this is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe and let's get into it. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different today, not necessarily related to the NBA, but related to basketball in general, which is the topic of this channel. And I just kind of wanted to talk about, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this over the weekend, but this is the glaring disparity between the NCAA Women's Tournament and the NCAA Men's Tournament. March Madness is kicking off this weekend. It's a very exciting time for all of us basketball fans. One of the best times of the year. You know, March Madness, we get these huge tournaments, and it's just really fun to watch all the games. And you know, there's tons of stuff going on. Men's Tournament kicked off, I guess, like Thursday. Have had the first four. Friday was the first full day of games. Women's Tournament is kicking off, I believe, on Sunday is the first full day of games for them. So there's a lot of basketball to be played over the next couple of weeks, and it should be a lot of fun. But I'm sure a lot of you saw this over the weekend, where the difference between amenities afforded to the women's basketball teams as compared to the men's, because both teams are in bubbles, similar to what the NBA did. Last summer and fall with finishing the playoffs and everything before they decided to just go to a full normal travel model for this regular season. But both of these teams are the women's and the men's full field of 68 in the tournament are both in bubbles separately, and that's how they're deciding to handle the tournament this year. And so these players have to come to this one location, and they're provided obviously food and a room to stay in and things to occupy themselves while they're there. And so I just kind of wanted to go over the differences between them and then the larger problems at play here. So there were videos and pictures posted of the women's workout facilities. And that's what I'm referring to when I say a lot of you guys have probably seen this over the weekend, because it was all over Twitter. I saw it posted pretty much everywhere, and it's kind of ridiculous, where the women's workout zones was a little rack of weights and a yoga mat in this big arena hall or whatever, as compared to the men's, where they had tons of weights everywhere, all sorts of equipment, a lot more space to be able to spread out and be able to work out there, all sorts of workout machines and all this stuff, right? And like I said, compared to the women's, which had pretty much nothing. And players who were there had posted stuff videos and pictures and things, and there was also photos of the memorabilia that they were given, because you go to the bubble and they're like, here's your branded NCAA tournament towel and whatever, and the men's got all these huge towels and a ball or something, I don't even know, but they got a ton of stuff. And if you look at the two pictures side by side of what the men got and what the women got, it's very, there's a difference between them, whereas the men's got more, fancier stuff, or however you want to say it. And then also in the food that they were given, the men's meals looked like it was a lot more, desirable and a lot better and healthier or whatever, whereas the women's got these old looking sandwiches and I don't know, it just didn't look very appetizing, right? So there was a pretty clear difference between what each side was afforded in terms of amenities for them, and given that some of these teams are going to be in this bubble for a couple of weeks, it can get it's kind of frustrating to see the way that the NCAA is prioritizing these things. And the excuses that we were given for this were honestly pretty lame. There was no the NCAA did come out with an official statement, but they didn't really address why this had happened. They just said, sorry, we messed up. Which, okay, fine, but people on Twitter and people in the media and all sorts of stuff have come out with sort of kind of excuses for the NCAA on this, and they're saying well, it was a space issue, it wasn't an issue of funds or resources, we just didn't have enough space where we were going, and so we just couldn't make a big enough weight room for all the women. And it's dude, in the video, there is a video out there of them showing, that little picture of the rack of weights and a yoga mat, and then you turn around and it's this whole big events arena, basically. There's a practice court and then a ton of empty space. I don't know what that building is normally used for, maybe it's an expo center or something, but there's a ton of empty space there, that could have you could have put more equipment over there and it would have been fine, right? But it's pretty clear where the resources went, right? Because they had the same amount of time to prepare this as they did for the men's side. Like they had the same amount of time to plan and prepare and get this bubble ready. Like it's not like, you know, they were on a time crunch with the women's one. They knew when this was scheduled, and it's like the same deal as the men's thing. And they just decided not to provide the same level of equipment and amenities for the women there, which is honestly pretty inexcusable, considering, you know, the world that we live in today, and it's Women's History Month also, which doesn't help things. And it's just like, women's sports have been trying to push for equality for so long, and it's a problem that's from the ground up, because there's so many people, it's so deeply rooted in a lot of fans, this internal bias against certain women's sports, which I'm going to get into in a second, but it desperately needs to be addressed somehow, and this is just another example in a long list of things that have just not been right over, you know, the past many years, and we've seen tons of examples of this recently also. And it's just honestly unfair, and it's getting very old at this point. And listen, people are going to tell you, and there might be some people in the comments, I have no idea, or you know, you're going to see this on Twitter every day, you're going to see this on Instagram comments or on Bleacher Report or wherever you're reading about your sports news, right? You're always going to see this. And in every comment section, on tweets, all the time, it's going to say, you know, the same really horrible and just bad jokes about, you know, women's athletes and the WNBA and NCAA women's and all sorts of other sports, right? Where they're just like saying, oh, get back in the kitchen, oh, go make me a sandwich, like all these comments are the same thing, and like, it's not, the joke is not funny, it never really was funny, and it certainly is not anymore with the way that it's been worn out. And they're also going to say things like, well, these women, you know, you only make 5% of the revenue, so you don't deserve to have all that, because guys should make more money before you start asking for things. And it's like, dude, listen. First of all, that does not even apply here, because the NCAA is one organization. It's not like the women's basketball side is like a separate business from the men's side. The schools get to decide how they allocate their money, and it's all housed under one athletic department. So the athletic department brings in funds from football, from basketball, from soccer, from swim and dive, from whatever sports they have at their school, right? All those come together for one big budget, and then the funds are allocated to whatever teams needs. Most college sports are not profitable for the university. Most of them are not. Really, the only ones that are is football. Football is a big moneymaker for most schools. Men's basketball is usually a moneymaker. Sometimes they don't even break even. Sometimes it's, you know, they spend about as much as they make. Sometimes they actually go a little bit less, especially this year. Pretty much every sport was in the negative because of pandemic reasons. So really, most athletic departments' budgets come from men's football. And you know, those funds are used to fund all of the other athletic programs, right? And so the NCAA also makes money from all of the sports that they have, right? All of the collegiate sports that they, you know, advertise for and put on TV and whatever, right? However the NCAA makes their money. So it should not have been a problem to just say, okay, we're going to evenly split these funds, and this is how much, you know, we made this year, and this is how much we're devoting to basketball, and so we're going to just split this and have both of these bubbles, and it's going to be fine. And you know, both of these both men's and women's are going to be able to have a bubble, and they're both going to be able to have the same quality of stuff in their bubble. That would not have been hard, okay? It's not like it's not even comparable to really anything else. It's like they're just making money, and they can split it however they want, and so it should have been even if you say, well, the men's make so much more than the women's do. It does not even apply here. It just does not apply. And I guess I just wanted to say about how those same jokes that I was talking about, how we always see those same things in all the Instagram comment sections, right? On every, you know, women's highlight or talking about whatever's going on in the WNBA or NCAA women's basketball. Or if you remember last year, there was a woman who played kicker in NCAA Division I men's football, which is the first time that that's ever happened, which was super cool. Sarah Fuller came in and was the kicker because I think their kicker got injured and they needed somebody, and she came off the soccer team or something like that. And that, it's super awesome that barrier is being broken now. And I think as sports fans, I think we've come a little bit of a way. I wouldn't say we've come a long way, but we've come some sort of way into accepting women's sports a little more over the past 3 or 4 years. I think that the women's basketball has gotten a lot more recognition, and there's a lot more people who are open to it and open to watching it. And I have started to get interested in women's basketball as well, because at the end of the day, I'm a basketball fan. I'm not just a men's basketball fan, right? I like the sport, and so I enjoy watching. I remember watching some of those games in the WNBA bubble last fall, and those were super fun. And it's just I'm glad that some people are starting to warm up to this idea. And maybe my perception of how bad this issue is skewed just because a lot of those comments are probably trolls or bots or whatever that is, right? But I just see so many people out there these days, and all the comments always have a ton of likes, and they're the top comment on there, that are just saying just the most misogynistic and just bad and stupid jokes over and over again. It's the same ones, and it can get really frustrating. So I think my message here is just that we as sports fans have a long way to go in reaching equality within the community, because it's been so long dominated by men for a very, very long time. I mean, there are certain sports that women are encouraged to do, and it's watched a lot, and people get really excited about it, such as gymnastics and tennis and swim and dive sometimes, and those women who do those oftentimes are able to get a lot of recognition, which is amazing. But I think we need to realize that women play every sport, not just the ones that we often associate with them, such as the ones I said, tennis and gymnastics. Women play everything, right? They play basketball, women even play football, and all sorts of stuff, right? And so we as a community have to do better in recognizing those women and propping them up and giving them just as much recognition as we do to the men's side of things. Now, I know that it's not as popular, and it might take a long time for it to be able to get there, but I really do believe that NCAA women's basketball, the WNBA, both, specifically just because I'm a basketball guy, I think both of those have the potential to have so much growth over the next however many years, and become a really, really nice, just addition to the sports world, because they already exist, they're already here, and they're great now. And I just wish that there was a little more not even a little more, a lot more recognition for these women who are going out and doing incredible things daily. And we need to get rid of the lame, dumb, and offensive jokes of the past, and really move forward into a more equal society and a more equal split of resources and funds and allocation between men's and women's athletics, whether that's at the college or pro level. So, moral of the story, when we say March Madness does not just mean men's college basketball, it means college basketball. So both the men's and women's tournaments are entering March Madness, and we're gonna have a lot of games over the next couple of weeks. It's gonna be really exciting. So I'm gonna be watching both tournaments whenever I can, and I would suggest that you guys do as well. I think it's a great way to get involved and get an intro to women's basketball if you're not super familiar with it. It would be nice to watch some women's college games. Also, I was just looking into this just to, get some more details about the WNBA here. We don't have any exact details on when their season's going to start. It looks like around May, but they don't have a firm start date yet. But this is something really cool that I just saw, and I kind of wanted to just put this in here. This is the 25th season of the WNBA, and it's the WNBA Commissioner's Cup, which is the debut of this. Which is very similar to the proposed mid-season tournament that the NBA has kind of been talking about for the past couple of years, and I think that this could be really, really cool. It basically says it's a competition within a competition that features player prize pools, comprised of 10 designated regular season games for each team, and culminates in a championship game between the two teams atop the standings in each conference. It also convenes fans, players, and partners in local communities for conversations and programming centered on equality and social justice. The championship game takes place following the Olympic break as an exciting jumpstart to the resumption of the WNBA regular season action. So that sounds really cool, and that sounds like if they can nail this, I think we could see this come to the NBA in a couple of years, so that's another reason to watch it. And also just the way that it's using to talk about social justice, which, by the way, WNBA players did an amazing job with that during the time that they were in the bubble. Obviously, with everything that was going on last year, there was a lot to be discussed, and the NBA had their own things with that, and I kind of talked about that in one of the first videos on this channel. Actually, was talking about the boycott that the Bucks started, but the WNBA was right there along. I think they even had a walkout before the Bucks did, if I'm not mistaken. And they were doing very, very great things during their time in the bubble, so I want to give a big shout out to that. That's basically the moral of the story here is basketball is not just for men, and March Madness is not just for men, and we just all got to do better and watch women's basketball and support female athletes because they deserve it. So look out for potentially some WNBA content on this channel. Let me know if that's something you guys are interested in, because I would love to talk about that, because I want to learn more about it too. I'm obviously not nearly as familiar with it as I am with the NBA. I'm not even really familiar with college basketball nearly as much as I am. The NBA is my league, and that's what I know, but I would love to branch out a little bit more and really get to know the WNBA. I know a surface level. I know like most of the star players and the teams and kind of the history of the league, but I would love to learn more about that. So hopefully, if you guys would like to learn along with me and maybe make some videos on some type of that, would love to know your thoughts down below on all that kind of stuff, because their season is kicking off in a couple months and they've had off season over the past couple of weeks. So maybe we'll get into some of that. But yeah, with all that said, like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about this whole topic, and we'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.